Hi, my name is Maura Sharkey, and my speech will focus on the topic of species reintroduction. This speech will discuss a topic that is not commonly discussed, but is critical to the environment. This speech will focus on the reintroduction of keystone species, specifically the gray wolf introduction across the U.S. Although global development is incredibly important, the displacement of wildlife is often disregarded. Because of this, the topic has become a battle between science and politics. This speech will touch on three main points, the first being the Endangered Species Act, the second being trophic cascades and what they mean to the environment, and the third is why is this topic controversial. So the Endangered Species Act began in 1973 and was signed by Richard Nixon, who was quoted saying on that day that nothing is more priceless and more worthy of preservation than the rich array of animal life with which our country has been blessed. The act is in place to protect threatened and endangered animals and plant species, and it also protects the habitats in which they live. The act finally says that animals that are very close to elimination should be returned to their historic lands, and this paves the way for species reintroduction. And in 1974, the gray wolf was put on the endangered species list. According to the National Wildlife Federation, the historic range of the gray wolf covers 2/3 of North America and are able to thrive in a variety of habitats. The adults can consume 20 pounds of meat in one meal, and they travel in packs, so they also hunt in packs. They can travel up to 40 miles per hour in a range between 50 to 1,000 square miles. Wolves are known to not go into areas where they are more likely to be hunted or anything like that. So if there is a deer population that they can hunt, then they'll go after that population rather than cattle. So the wolves are captured in Canada and moved to their historical ecosystem, and they were successfully reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park in 1995. They restored the entire ecosystem, and this is the perfect example of the concept of a trophic cascade. So they're at the top of the ecosystem, and they affect everything underneath it. So they control the deer populations, and they control the vegetation that the deer are eating and the location that the deer will eat. So once the vegetation comes back, the rivers will start to have less of an erosion effect, and this can affect how many trees are able to grow, which will bring back bird populations and beavers, otters, fish, and many other species. So the reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone was incredibly successful. Other areas of the nation that had reintroduction efforts include the Great Lakes region, Oregon, Washington, Wyoming, and other areas of the western U.S. So the reason why I find this topic so interesting is because I study wildlife conservation and biology at URI, and I've learned about keystone species during my studies. The wolf is classified as a keystone species, and they are incredibly important to help regulate the populations of their prey. In many ecosystems where wolves are not present, deer populations are able to grow exponentially, and this can lead to many different types of harmful effects on the environment. The wolf reintroduction, while controversial, is critical to restoring the health of various environments in the western United States. So it's a no-brainer almost that wolf reintroduction is very good for the environment, and you might be asking, why is this topic controversial? Well, it's mostly controversial to local cattle farmers and families that live in the environments that wolves are being reintroduced, because they might feel threatened by their presence, or they might feel like their livestock and livelihoods are threatened by their presence. However, due to advancements in technology and the ability to put GPS trackings on the wolves, they're able to warn farmers, and also, according to George Monbiot, a British environmental political activist and journalist with a degree in zoology, says that other wildlife such as foxes, bears, and coyotes account for more cattle deaths than wolves ever could. The presence of wolves can actually help control their populations, control diseases from being spread, and control their ranges for hunting. It is clear that the wolf reintroduction should be supported by both the U.S. and the U.S. government and does not need to be debated between science and politics. Thank you for watching.